What are your goals coming into your second year?
I think first year was a development year, just to sort of get an understanding of the whole sort of thing. The whole football's big, and I think the opportunity to go through college and experience what college is like. Being Australian, you have no idea what that is, and then coming to a school like Ohio State, it's a big deal, and you don't really understand that. And obviously those expectations with coming in and playing and starting, and I know stuff got said, and it was awesome for me and it was awesome back home, but the harsh reality was I wasn't ready, and I think now it's a stepping stone to see how far I can push myself, and I think this year's a great opportunity to see how far I can take it, and try to give it a good crack. So
how long did it take you to feel like you were ready? At what point did you feel like you kind of got it covered?
Yeah, so when I first got here, it was definitely a harsh reality of what college football was like, the expectations and all that sort of stuff, which I personally just don't think I was ready for. I don't think I was emotionally ready. I don't think I was physically ready. I think being able to see the back end of the season and what it took from a team, and especially like someone like Joe, like he had to step up, and he was ready for it, obviously, but he had to sort of take on the responsibility of what Jesse left and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a great opportunity what we have this year. Healthy competition, which is always nice as well. So
Sorry.
no, you're good.
Yeah. What was the?
Sorry, Andy. Thank you. All right. Continue, Andy.
Here we go. What was the culture shock like, just walking into Ohio Stadium for the first time and seeing 100,000 people there to watch? You know, I'm sure it's weird coming from Australia. And it's an amateur sport after all, so like college football is. What was that culture shock like?
Personally, I don't think game day was hard. Obviously, in terms of experiencing and knowing what it actually felt like. Obviously, in Australian rules football, we still experience big stadiums, and I've been to a stadium called the MCG, and that's almost bigger than the one here on an actual physical level. But in terms of kicking, it actually didn't feel that bad, because the pressure that they put you under in practice is so much more intense than what it is on field. And they're trying to put you in the worst possible situation in practice. So when it comes time to perform in game, you do your job. So that's the blessing about being at a school like Ohio State. Everyone around you, scout team, those that are on your team and against you are the best players in the country. And that's the blessing of it, is if you can perform here in practice, you'll be able to perform in a game no matter who it is. So
you said last year you came to the realization you weren't physically ready. What have you changed about your body or maybe about your technique to be more ready this season?
Physically, obviously the big issue for me was speed, operation time. Joe did a phenomenal job at the expectations of getting that lower. And a big thing for us is not getting blocked. We haven't been blocked in 5 years. So for me to come in and change what I was doing and speed it up, there was a real sort of personal conflict, where it was, I want to be the best punter I could possibly be. But that was conflicting with the speeds they wanted. And then I just sort of had to change my mindset and think about truly what I wanted to be. If I wanted to be at a school like Ohio State, which had high expectations, or go somewhere else. But with that, I just had to commit to it. So just had to work with Coach Keys, John Fellman, our long snapper. I live with him now, but we work every night to make sure that what we're doing is game-like, and making sure that the speeds that we go out in practice are faster than what it is in game. So it's been a blessing to work with him. It's been a blessing to work with a guy called Mara Evans, as well as Colin Johnson, more long snappers. And then obviously be able to see what Joe's been able to do in the national championship. Had a phenomenal kick, which was under extreme pressure and extreme speed. So to be able to look at what he did, it was awesome. So,
you mentioned the physical, obviously, adjustment, but you would work with Darren Bennett, and you've been over here a few times, but this was your first time living here. What was the emotional and kind of adjustment like, just being a college student, just moving to a different country, and also trying to manage being a college football player?
Yeah, no, it was definitely an emotional toll. It's a bit without your family. It's definitely hard. Time zone differences don't also help the situation. At that time, it was 16 hours, so I would wake up and they would be going to sleep, or vice versa. So it was definitely emotional, and the actual stress of trying to keep up with what they wanted also was a mental toll. Fortunately, I had a lovely lady called Nicole Kraft who was one of my teachers, and she got me in contact with some pretty cool people. So worked with some sports psychologists and all that sort of stuff to work on that mental side, which was far more important for me than the actual physical side, because I knew I could physically do it, but it was a matter of getting a mental headspace to perform at the highest level possible. And this is what it is in college football.
Just physically about your game, about the act of punting and stuff. What has changed definitely compared to this time a year ago? If you could put it in a nutshell.
Well, definitely the speed, and then trying to build the consistency off the speed. There's expectations of what they want here, and then you've got to meet those expectations and try to surpass it. So, again, working with John and working at night, we had to make sure that everything I was doing was trying to be as efficient and as effective as possible. With that being said, I'm still trying to improve on that. I'm still trying to be as effective in my contact with the football under the speeds that they want, which again, it's a blessing, because if you can perform here, you can perform anywhere.
I was going to say, is there any franchise in Australian rules football or wherever that rivals this in terms of pressure, exposure, whatever you want to call it?
In terms of exposure, not at all. This is the biggest that I've ever seen and been a part of. In terms of pressure, I was fortunate enough to play high-level football, Australian rules football, and the pressure's the exact same. You've got people relying on you. You've got coaches wanting you to perform. There's jobs at stake. There's money at stake. There's all that sort of pressure, and then obviously the own personal goals, which is again the biggest one possible. I grew up in a household where my brother played for professional sport, and the expectation was for me to sort of follow in his path and try surpass him. And that was the expectations I had on myself, and again, I wasn't able to do that. So again, the opportunity to come here and perform, I had to sort of take a step back and understand that it all takes time, and the only thing that's really going to get me to where I want to be is just hard work and having good coaches around me, and that's sort of what I got. And again, it's so much more learning that's got to happen, but with that being said, it's a blessing to be here, and it's a great opportunity. So, yeah, I'm blessed to be here.
All right, Nick, thank you.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Tell us about whippersnippers.